So the first question was to determine the even and odd part of the given signal x of t. So x of t was 3 plus 2t plus 5t square. So we have to segregate this term into even and the odd part. So for in that formula we need x of minus t. So let us find out x of minus t first. So putting t as minus t in the equations, you got x of minus t as 3 minus 2t plus 5t square. Now applying that, substituting that in the equation of even part x of et, you got x of et as 3 plus 5t square, and odd part equation you got x of xot as 2t. So these are the even and the odd part of the signals. I feel most of you have done it. Now the second question is to determine whether the given signal is odd or even. So here also get the condition, find x of minus t. So you got x of minus t as 3 into e raised to minus j4 pi t. And let us find out minus of x of t, which is minus 3 e raised to j4 pi t. So as per the condition, to check the odd and even, we found out that x of minus t should be equal to x of t for signal to be even, and x of minus t should be equal to minus x of t for the signal to be odd. So none of these two conditions are met, though, so the signal is neither even nor odd. So this also most of you have done. Now to determine the power and energy for the following continuous time signal. The first part of that is x of t is equal to e raised to j 2t plus pi by 4. Maybe your method may be different, but one of the method I am telling, converting that signal in the complex into polar, I have written one angle 2t plus pi by 4. So as per our energy equation, we need only the magnitude of x of t. Okay, so x of t, the magnitude of that equation is only 1. So substituting that in the equation for energy, we finally get it as energy as infinite. Whereas power, if you substitute in the power equation, if you substitute, we will get it as 1 watt. Okay, so the signal is a power signal. It is not an energy signal. Now the second one is 3 cos phi omega t. Okay, so 3 cos phi omega t, as per the energy equation, we need x of energy as well as power equation. Both we need x of t square. So we found out that x of t square first. So in that we got integration minus t to t, x of t square dt is 9t. Now applying that, substituting that in the energy equation, we again get energy as infinity and power as 4.5 watt. This many of you have done wrong, I don't know. Some of you got 4.8, different fractions you are getting. So it is 9 by 2 will come. So automatically your answer has to be 4.5. So you can verify your answer. Those who have done it wrong, you can check it once again. Now let us come to the topic. Next we have to study now on the discrete signals as well. So far we have analyzed only the continuous time signals, whether they are periodic, whether they are even or odd, whether it is an energy or the power signals. We have done it only on the continuous time signals. Now we have to do the analysis on the discrete time signals also. So how to obtain the discrete signal, as our real world signals, everything is analog in nature. How to get the discrete signal using the sampling theorem. Okay, so why we need sampling theorem is because our almost all signals are analog in nature. So whereas all the process is done in the digital part, so we have to convert this analog signal into digital signals. So it is essential to convert them into discrete time signals. So the process of converting analog to digital is known as ADC, analog to digital conversion. You might have studied it earlier. And the ADC involves these three steps. First it is sampled, then there is a quantization procedure, then there is a coding is there. So the first step is here sampling, that is converting the analog signal into the samples. This is what we are doing in the sampling process. There's a continuous time signal g of t. Now it is sampled with a frequency of omega s or f of s, and we are obtaining the discrete time signals. Only at regular intervals you are getting the magnitude of the signals. Okay, so a continuous time band limited signal can be represented by its samples and recovered from its samples. Okay, so the proper sampling is very important, because again after doing all these process we have to get back the signal again. That means you have to get back the continuous time signal. Okay, so that time recovering from the samples, if the sampling is not proper, then we may not obtain your original signal. Your original signal will not be whatever you recovered from that samples. It may not match with your original signals. Okay, or the required signal. So the proper sampling is very important. So sampling theorem, what we do is during sampling process, a continuous time signal is converted into discrete signals by taking samples at discrete time intervals. Okay, so x of nt equal to x of t. We are converting your continuous time signal x of t into samples, which is sampled at a time period of capital T, where small n is the number of samples coming in the signals. So your x of t is converted into x of nt with capital T as the time period, sampling period. The criteria for sampling is, because we have to recover your analog signal, you have to obtain back your continuous time signal from the samples. If we need to recover it, then they should be, this condition should be satisfied. What is the condition? The sampling frequency must be twice of the highest frequency. Fs is the sampling frequency and Fm is the highest frequency present in the signal, and this should be twice of that. That sampling frequency should be twice of that. Then only this condition is known as Nyquist criteria. So if the criteria is met, then only your signal can be recovered properly from the samples. So this much only for about the sampling theorem. So sampling process converts a continuous time signal into discrete time signals, and during the sampling process the condition, the sampling frequency should be twice of the highest frequency in the signals. Let us now do the analysis on the discrete signal. The same properties of the signal we will check with the discrete signal also. So determine whether given signal is periodic or not. So how to check the periodicity in the signal? Let me ask someone. Rishabh, can you hear me? Rishabh?
Yes, ma'am.
So far what you have learned from that, can you tell how you will check the periodicity, whether the given signal is periodic or not, how you will check in continuous time signal? In continuous, if you are seeing sine, automatically directly you will write, no, it is periodic in nature. Sinusoidal signals and cosine signals all were periodic. We have already given that statement. If it is sinusoidal signal, it will be periodic. If it is cosinusoidal signal, then also it will be periodic. Remembering? No. Okay, Rishabh. So let us do how to check the condition for periodicity in the discrete signal. So directly we will not write here, after seeing the sign we cannot write here as it is periodic in nature. You have to check with some conditions. So let us check here. We have to compare this signal with the general equation, that is sine 2 pi fn. Okay, we will compare it with sine 2 pi fn, that is sine 0.02 pi n equal to sine 2 pi fn. Let us take f from this. F is equal to 0.02 by 2, that is 0.01. Let us write in the ratio of integers, that is 1 upon 100. Okay, so f is equal to 1 upon 100. The frequency is 1 upon 100. So here I can write the frequency is ratio of two integers. Okay, the frequency is ratio of two integers. Hence, x of n is periodic. Okay, again tell x of n is periodic with a fundamental period n equal to 100. So that is the reason why we are writing it in the ratio to obtain the value of capital N. Okay, so with fundamental period of n equal to 100. Okay, so similarly, let us now see one more example. X of n equal to cos 4n. For this also we will check the periodicity. First compare it with the general equation cos 2 pi. Sorry, it is not sine, it is cos. Cos 2 pi fn. Then comparing it with f is equal to, you will obtain 2 by pi. So here f is not a ratio of two integers, because pi is not an integer. So I cannot tell x of n is periodic. So in this one we have written it as in the continuous time signal. There we have directly written when it is cosine or sine. Directly we have written it as sine. All such kind of signals are periodic in nature. But here we have to check the periodicity using this formula. So it is not the general equation is not sine. You have to take it as cos 2 pi fn. Here also it is. Okay. So I hope all of you understood. So first case we have got f as 1 upon 100. So it is periodic with a fundamental period of the sampled signals. N is equal to 100. So what do you mean by n equal to 100 in that discrete time signal, where n is the fundamental period? What is the meaning of that? So far we have seen what you mean by sampling period, sampling process, what is that? Then can you tell capital N is the fundamental period. So what is the meaning of that? What is that 100 indicates? Anyone?
That means the signal will repeat after 100 cycles.
100 cycles.
Hundred samples.
100 samples. Okay. So in that one fundamental period, it contains 100 samples. Okay. So one fundamental period contains 100 samples. Let us now go to the next. This also we have seen, we found out here f is not a ratio, so it is not periodic. Now let us do one more thing, discrete signal. It is a sum of two signals. That is sum of sine 2 pi n by 3 plus cos. Okay, here that formula. Okay, sine should come inside actually. Let it. Sine 2 pi n by 3 plus cos 2 pi n by 5. Now these are two separate signals. Okay, that is sinusoidal signal, combination of sinusoidal signal and cosine signals. So here also let us compare it with the general and obtain the fundamental frequency f1 and f2. So we obtained f1 as 1 upon 3. So if you obtain 1 upon 3, then I can take the n, capital N equal to 3. Your fundamental period contain 3 samples. Now let us compare the other one and obtain f2 as 1 upon 5. Here n equal to 5. That is, your fundamental period contain 5 samples. Okay. So in continuous time signal, what we have seen, if a signal contains is a mixture of 2 signals, we have to individually check the periodicity of the signals, and if they are periodic, you have to, how to obtain that? Their ratio has to be integer. The ratio of that time period has to be an integer. So let us check here also the same procedure. That is n1 by n2, 3 by 5 is ratio of 2 integers. So I can tell the sequence is periodic in nature. The same procedure here also. If the signal contains mixture of 2 signals, you have to check individually the periodicity. You have to individually find the fundamental period, then take the ratio of the fundamental period of those 2 signals. So here n1 is 3, here n2 is 5. The ratio, that is 3 by 5, is integer. So I can tell your signal x of n is periodic in nature. Now, if it is periodic, then how to get the fundamental frequency of that? So it is the, again, the same procedure like continuous also, the LCM of n1 and n2. The LCM of the fundamental period n1 and n2 will be the fundamental period of your signal x of n. So given sequence is periodic with fundamental period n equal to 15. 15, how you got? The LCM of 3 and 5. Are you able to follow? Any doubt in this? Should I have to repeat? Okay, I hope you understood this. Okay, individually find the fundamental period, get the ratio of that, check whether it is an integer, the ratio is an integer. Then if it is periodic, find the fundamental period by taking the LCM of T1 and T2. Now let us go to the next one. Determine the odd and the even part of the signal. Here we have a sequence given x of n equal to -3, 1, 2, -4 and 2. Okay, so what is that? There is an arrow indicated here. Okay, there is an arrow indicated below the number 2. It indicates that is the origin. Origin in the sense, it is the signal at x of 0, the sample at x of 0. That arrow indicates it is the origin of the signal. So x of 0 equal to 2, and to the right hand side x of 1 is equal to -4, and x of 2 equal to 2, and to the left hand side of that we have x of -1, which is 1, and x of -2, which is equal to -3. So understanding the position of the signal is important, because if you do the later operations, then if you take the position of the signals as wrong, then automatically your answer also will become wrong. So taking the exact position of the signal is very important. So that arrow indicates the signal at x of 0. To the right hand side it will be the positive side signals, and to the left hand side it is the negative side signals. So to get the odd and the even part, so we need again the formula, we need x of minus t in the continuous. Here also we need x of minus n. Okay, x of minus n. We are just flipping the signals. Okay, your middle signal will remain as it is, only the right hand side signal will come to the left hand side and the left hand side signal will go to the right hand side. Whereas the signal at the origin will remain as it is. The remaining signals will flip to each other. So you can see there is an interchange happening here. If x of n is this, then you can see x of minus 1, what is happening? Minus 3 and 1 went to the right hand side, and on the right hand side minus 4 and 2 went to the left hand side. Okay, again while taking interchanging also be careful, the signal which is at x of minus 1 will go to x of 1. Okay, and the signal which is at x of 1 will go to x of minus 1. Similarly for the other case also, the signal which is at x of 2 will go to x of minus 2, and the one which is at x of minus 2 will go to x of 2. Okay, so that is how I have written here. X of 0 is again as it is, only the other signals has flipped. So you got x of n and x of minus n. Now let us write the general formula for obtaining the even equation, even part of the signal, that is half of x of n plus x of minus n. Now can you tell now what is x of in that even part, how you will obtain x of minus 2, how you will obtain x of minus 1, x of 0, then x of 1, x of 2. You have to add the signals. Okay, so in that first one, that is x of minus 2, x of minus 2, we have to add x of n and x of minus n. Okay, so x of minus 2 is minus 3 and the second x of minus 2 is 2. Are you getting? Let me take the pointer. Okay, so this is your x of minus 2 of your x of n and x of minus 2 of x of minus n. These two you have to add. While you are adding, only signals at the same position can be added. While you are adding x of n and x of minus n, the signals at the same position can only be added. Okay, so minus 3 plus 2 is minus 1. Okay, similarly next position is x of minus 1, which is this one. X of minus 1, here it is 1, and in this x of minus 1 is minus 4. So 1 minus 4, it will be minus 3. Okay, and at the origin we have 2 here. Okay, and here also 2. Okay, so 2 plus 2 is 4. Okay, now coming on to the right hand side part, x of 1 is minus 4 and here x of 1 is 1. So it will be minus 3, and the last one it is 2 and minus 3. So it is minus 1. So half of inside this, let us take half to the inside. So your answer will become minus 0.5, then minus 1.5, 2, minus 1.5 and minus 0.5. Now similarly, let us find out the odd part of the signal x of n. Now it is x of n minus of x of minus n. So while you are doing that, you have to do the subtraction instead of addition. So minus 3 minus 2, it will be minus 5. Then 1 minus of minus 4, again 5. 2 minus 2, it is 0. Then minus 4 minus 1 minus 5. Then 2 minus of minus 3, 5. So half of that, taking half inside, you are getting 2.5, minus 2.5, 2.50, minus 2.5 and 2.5. So there are difference in the processing of your continuous time signal and your discrete time signals. So hope all of you understood. Should I have to repeat it again? Okay, anyway, I'll repeat again only. Determine the odd and even part. So you have to obtain x of n and x of minus n. The arrow indicates the signal at the origin, which is x of 0. To the right hand side, it is the signals x of 1, x of 2, x of 3, like that. So here x of 1 is minus 4, x of 2 is 2. And to the left hand side of the arrow, it is the negative sided signal. So x of minus 1 is 1, x of minus 2 is minus 3. Now to obtain the odd and even part, we need this term, that is x of minus n. So while we do x of minus n, actually what is happening, we are flipping the signals. So your signal at the origin will be maintaining the position as it is. The remaining signals will get interchanged. That is, x of 1 will change to x of minus 1, x of 2 will change to x of minus 2. Similarly, the other signal also will go to the other side. After that, you have to, in the formula, you need to add the signals. So while adding the signals, you have to be careful. You can add only the signals at the same position. That is, you can add x of 2 of x of n and x of 2 of x of minus n. Similarly, x of minus 2 of x of n can be added with the x of minus 2 of x of minus n. Okay, so after adding the signals, we obtain these two sequences. Now let us find the energy and the power of the discrete time signal. So the given signal is x of n is equal to half raised to n u of n. Okay, so any signal when multiplied with, okay, so before that, let us write the formula for this. Energy is equal to minus n to n x of n square. This is the equation for energy. Now here we have to substitute for x of n as half raised to n u of n. Now if any signal is multiplied with u of n, u of n is the unity step signal. So if any signal is multiplied with the u of n, then you will obtain the right hand sided signal. That means instead of minus infinity to infinity, now if you multiply it with u of n, the signal will change to 0 to infinity. It will become a right hand sided signal. Okay, it is like 1 into 3. You are multiplying the magnitude 3 of your signal with 1. 1 into 3 will become 3. So only the right hand side signal will remain. If it has a left hand side, it will get neglected. Only the right hand side will be reflected if you multiply it with u of n. Okay, so that is why the summation limits, now it has changed to n equal to 0 to infinity. Now taking the 2 inside and n outside, it will become half raised to square n. It will be 1 by 4 raised to n. Now applying the formula, geometric series sum formula. It is an infinite geometric series sum formula, that is summation n equal to 0 to infinity c raised to n equal to 1 upon 1 minus c. So here c is 1 upon 4. So putting that in the equation, we'll get 1 upon 1 minus 1 by 4. So finally you will get 4 by 3 joules as your energy contained in the signal. Even though energy is there, you have to check for power also in the signal. So power equation is limit n equal to infinity to 1 upon 2n plus 1. Xn equal to minus n to n, x of n square. So already we obtained x of n square earlier. You can directly substitute here, which is 1 by 4 raised to n. Now we can apply the series sum formula. This is a finite geometric series. So applying the formulas, sigma n equal to 0 to n, c n equal to Cn plus 1 minus 1 divided by C minus 1. So applying that formula, you will obtain this. But when you apply the limits as n equal to infinity, you will get it as 0. So your energy in the signal is finite, but power is 0. Hence, the signal is an energy signal. So now we have to see the basic operations on the signal. Before that, let us do two numericals. Attendance is posted. You can fill the attendance sheet. Attendance is posted. You can fill the attendance. I have posted the link for the test also. These two also will be included in your tutorials.